When it comes to data, we might not have the complete information about an entity. The available data will be sorted logically in various columns and rows. The unavailable data will have to be left blank and eventually updated as and when we get the information. So this unavailable data or the missing data need to be marked separately. Hello viewers, in this video we are going to look at the different markers for missing data. Subscribe to my channel to get alerts on more videos on Python and data science. Consider this example where I have a data frame containing 2 columns and 5 rows. Now I want to add a new column named column 3 to this data frame. Unfortunately, I have values only for 3 rows with the row labels A, B and E. And for the row label D, I want it to be left blank or I want a placeholder for that value. So I'll create a new column with values like this where D is going to hold the default marker, which is none. None is actually one of the default markers to represent the missing data. Now let me execute this code for you and show you the result. We can see that when I inserted none for the row label D, but it got inserted as NaN for the label C and D. So how is it working internally? If we insert integer values for all the rows, the data type of that column will be integer. Even if one of the value is not inserted in a column, the default data type of that integer column is going to be float due to the missing data. One thing that we observe here is that I have inserted none, but the value got inserted as NaN. When a missing value or a none is inserted into an integer column, it gets inserted as NA or not available in the data frame. When a missing value or none is inserted into a floating value column, it gets inserted as NaN or not a number. When a missing value or none is inserted into a datetime column, it gets inserted as NaT or not a time. No worries. Let me explain you with examples for each of these missing markers. So consider this data frame where I'm going to first insert the column 3, which is going to have none in the row index of D. So we can see that NaN gets inserted because it is of floating data type. Next, I'm going to create a new column, which is column 4, which is going to have integer values, and I'm going to specify none against the row index E, but I'm going to explicitly specify the data type to be integer. So what happens is when the new column called column 4 gets inserted, it gets created as an integer data type. Since the default marker for integer is NA gets inserted against the missing values. Consider the next example where I'm going to create column 5 with the values containing the text against A, C and E. So we can see that NaN gets inserted against the missing data. So for text or the objects in pandas, NaN is the default data type. In my next example, where I'm going to create a new column containing the date time, you can observe that pandas by default will create a marker which is NaT, which is not a time for the missing data. So I've given values for A, B and C. So A, B and C values are going to have these date, and for the remaining 2 rows, it's going to contain the default marker which is NaT. To summarize, for the integer type, the default marker is NA. For the float and the object types, the default marker is NaN. And for the date time, the default marker is NaT. Hey guys, hope you have got a clear picture about the default markers for the missing data in pandas.